is Raider Live, back with you another week for boxing news and insights from our panel of experts. Back to a three-man show this week, boys. We had a great show last week with Matt from Lindstrom, but back to the three-man for this week. Our first expert, of course, is the one joining us all the time up there in the upper corner, the man, the myth, the legend, all-in-one, Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I got 2 mutes tonight, so I got that in my back pocket. But there is some big news here in Minnesota on the basketball side. The Minnesota Lynx just drafted Renea Davis from the University of Tennessee. Welcome to the team. And New York Yankees legendary third baseman Alex Rodriguez is about to buy the Timberwolves. Yankees, I'll drink to you.
Yeah, for the Seattle Timberwolves, that'd be really cool. All right, and our other expert here is also a Minnesota sports fan, but it's hard to be a Twins fan recently because we can't win a game until today when I stopped betting on them. It is the one, the only, the Judge, Jimmy James. Judge, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. You know, I'd like to RIP to DMX. Grew up listening to that It's Dark and Hell is Hot album for a long time, so that's a major bummer. But congratulations on 2 good boxers too for women's boxing. Ebony Bridges against Shannon Courtney was one hell of a slugfest. And that's back-to-back good women's boxing matches, so that stuff's heating up.
Yeah, women's boxing is starting to take it by storm, kind of like they did the MMA. Now almost women's MMA have caught up to as good as the men's. So maybe they'll start happening in boxing too. A lot of good fights out there, a lot of good fighters. All right, this week's show, we got a lot of news, and we got some reviews of some good fights last weekend. And then it's the third week of the month, so we're going to do brews and tributes. And this week we're going to be talking about Carl Frampton, who just retired. So that'll be fun to talk about. But first, we got news to hit. Boys, you guys ready to go?
Mute them.
All right, let me hit the mute button before I hit the bell, and boom. Okay, there we go, and I'll hit the bell. All right, brews and news, which we talk about all the news that's going on. But the first thing we do, of course, is to open a beer. And James, you got your beer there? I can't hear you.
Is he still muted? Good, thank you.
Yes, he is. He's still muted. All right, cheers, guys. All right, if I'm the best looking host you've ever seen, James, say nothing. Oh, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. I know. I work hard.
Get out of here.
All right. First bit of news we're going to talk about, and I can't believe we're going to talk about this, but we're going to. I kind of like it. Actually, now that I've read more of the story, Freddie Roach has said that Ben Askren will be doing a public service for beating up Jake Paul this weekend. You didn't hear Ben Askren actually did a week camp with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach said he has the best endurance he's ever seen. We'll see how that turns out in the Triller fight coming out this weekend. Filthy Rich, what do you think about this Freddie Roach prediction that should not be taking Ben Askren lightly?
That may be true. I don't think any fighter should take any fighter lightly. But when it comes to Freddie Roach wanting Askren to just like pummel Jake Paul and do basically boxing a favor, that is not something I agree with. I want to see a good fight. And we know a lot of eyes are going to be on this Triller card. Prograis and what's his name are fighting on the undercard. Name slips my mind right now. But Prograis's on the undercard. If they could have... No, it's Red Catch. Yeah. The two of them, whatever. Plus, build up the undercard. This is a lot of eyes are going to be on this. At least I think this is going to do good buys. I don't know if this is the one Justin Bieber's performing on or what, but
I believe. Yep.
A lot of people are going to be watching this. This can be good for boxing. Pummeling Jake Paul or Logan Paul, whichever one of them is fighting. It's bad. It's bad that I don't know which one's which. One of them just got beat up. And Logan Paul just got beat up at WrestleMania a few nights ago. But I tend to disagree with Roach saying that Askren, who I believe is an MMA guy. I mean, we don't want MMA guys taking over our sport. Otherwise, the stock plummets. But if Jake Paul is a boxer, I want Jake Paul to win this. I don't want to see him get beat up.
Judge, do you feel the same way? Because I feel like you are on the other side of that. You may want to see Jake Paul get beat up.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Mute 'em.
100.
Oh no! All right, well, there's the second.
Don't you
mute thing.
speak like that on my show, James. You don't want MMA guys beating up boxers. This is so bad. So, as Raider Live unmutes you, think about those words carefully. Otherwise, I'm going to have to beat you in our next game show and mute you several times.
All
Go
right, well,
on.
now I just threw him on mute because he said it's my show. No, it's my show. You forget. Don't forget that it's my show. It's Raider Live presents. Remember that. It's in the opening credits. You both remember that. Anyway, now that you're both unmuted there, let's remember that. James, would you like to respond now to seeing Jake Paul get beat up?
No. What do you want? If he wants me to mute, he wants me to shut my hole, then we'll leave it at that. That's fine.
All right. Well, there are some other fights this weekend too. Tony Harrison is fighting Perella on the PBC, and then Boo Boo is fighting on DAZN. Which ones are you going to be tuning into first, and which ones are you going to be recording? I'm going to be watching Boo Boo personally. Judge?
I will probably watch Boo Boo as well.
Filthy Rich, are you going to buy the Triller? I know you're a big beat guy.
The Andrade fight's the big one. Let's
Right.
not think that the other fights compare to that fight. That's the big one. But like Bad Left Hook is putting out a poll, and they conveniently left off that fight. I have no
Right.
idea why. But on that poll with Goodfella Perella versus Tony Harrison, that's the one I want to see. Perella's coming off a loss at 147. He obviously didn't belong there. So moving up to 154 makes sense. We'll see if he fits in at this division, but that I think that can make for a good fight. I like how, I mean, if you don't know who this guy is, he comes out in like a mafia style outfit. John from Egan, I see you. You're a big Goodfella Perella fan, but that's the fight I'm looking forward to, I guess you could say.
You just don't want to watch Jake Paul get beat up, so you're going to watch the other one. All right. All right.
Done with you.
All right. Next fight we got to talk about here, or next bit of news, not fight. Zurdo, Gilberto Ramirez is set to make his Golden Boy debut. Now, we talked about this a few weeks ago when he signed with Golden Boy, and we all said, why? Why would you sign with Golden Boy? But he signed with him, and he's got his first fight coming up here. He says that he's going to take out the whole lightweight, heavyweight, or light heavyweight division. He said Bivol and Beterbiev, he's going to take over the entire division. The talk that he's going to fight possibly Sergey Kovalev, which will be his first fight since losing to Canelo. How excited are you guys to see Zurdo back in the ring with Golden Boy? And is that fight against Kovalev a fight that you want to see? Or is it going to be just time before he gets to Beterbiev and Bivol? Is his predictions what he's saying? Like, can he take his division over by storm? James, we'll start with you. No mutes left.
Yeah, no mutes left. There you go. I don't know. I mean, this is his debut fight. If he wants to fight Kovalev, sure. I'm pretty sure Kovalev's on the decline. So if he wants to start somewhere, I guess that's a spot. I mean, it's a big name. You're going to get definitely people watching you. That's for sure. Taking the division by storm. I mean, is Oscar going to have enough time to promote him? I mean, Oscar's a kind of a busy guy nowadays. So he's really kind of all over the place. He's probably
he's training to be the world heavyweight champion, James. Give him a break.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, don't worry about your Golden Boy promotions at all. No big deal there. We'll just delegate those tasks to somebody else, right? But I don't know.
Which might be good for Golden Boy. I'll tell you that.
Man, who knows? I don't know. I mean, if he wants to try to take this the thing by storm, I think he's got a lot of work to do. I think he's only got to go through a couple of. I mean, there's only going to be some couple of people. I mean, he can try to, if he wants to try to fight somebody, try fight Vlasov again. Before he starts getting into a fight, if he's going to fight Kovalev too. I mean, he's going to have to get a couple of fights under his belt before he gets a big name fight, in my opinion. But he's got the ability to do it. We'll see if everything transfers over for him in that regard, and see how he works. Coming back from the layoff, because that really affects every fighter differently that I've seen. So.
Sad that Kovalev's almost become a gatekeeper. It sounds like the way he is now. Filthy Rich, what do you think about Gilberto making his debut for Golden Boy?
Yeah, as far as like cleaning out this 175, you definitely got to start somewhere. And I have said several times, if you're going to move up a division, get comfortable, make sure you're fighting. I don't want to say a no name or an easy fight, but make sure you're going to be good at this division. I know the last couple times he fought at 168, he wasn't the monster I thought he was. I think he got tested, probably went 12 rounds his last couple fights at 168. Now, part of that could be because he is having a difficult time making weight. So the move to go up to 175 was, he knows his body better than all of us. So moving up to 175, Kovalev might be one of those guys where he is probably past his prime. There might be a resurgence of Kovalev. We'll find out. But I like this matchup a lot. It'll kind of say if Zurdo belongs at 175, and at the same time tell us if Kovalev has anything left in him. But yeah, as far as like taking over 175 by storm, baby steps. You got to take baby steps, man. This is a tough division.
Sorry about that. Jack the dog came through and took out my keyboard with him. So sorry about that.
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
I'll drink to Bob.
Bob, I don't get it. But okay.
You're talking about baby steps. If you weren't so worried about your keyboard.
Well, sorry, I didn't want everything to come crashing down. So you guys both agree that Ramirez would beat Kovalev in a fight. Do you think that he can beat Bivol and Beterbiev, or is he still a year or two away from that?
I don't think anyone agreed that Zurdo beats Kovalev.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know if
that was just my assertion. I thought.
I don't know who wins this fight. So now, what was that second part?
Is it realistic that he can compete with Bivol and Beterbiev right away, or is that like still a year or two out?
I think I don't think he's ready for Bivol or Beterbiev, or even, we just saw Joe Smith and Vlasov. I don't even know if he's ready for either one of them guys. Again, baby steps. Let's see how he does against his first opponent. If he can knock someone out early, or if he can shows that he can go 12 rounds, that's pretty important. But he's not ready for like Beterbiev. He's not ready for Beterbiev. Not 2021.
Last word goes to you, Judge.
I think he's gonna. It looks like he's gonna fight Sullivan Barrera, so there's at least a starting point. But I'm agreeing with Rich. I don't know if he beats Kovalev, but that's a good start. Definitely a good start if you're talking about polar opposites. So,
right on. All right, let's move to the third bit of news here. Showtime has released its upcoming schedule for the next 6 months or so, with a lot of big fights on here. If you're watching us on YouTube here, you could see it. Otherwise, if you're listening to us, you can look it up on Showtime. They'll have their boxing schedule on there. A lot of good, interesting fights coming up. I'm curious which fights you guys are most looking forward to. I really like the Charlo Castellano fight. Davis versus Barrios is also another good fight. Those are a couple that I'm looking at. I'm looking at which ones are you the most excited for, and we'll start with Judge this time.
Well, there's some good ones on there, man. Like, I don't know. I'm curious. Davis Barrios is very curious for me. All right. Because I want to see, he literally just fought he's going all over the place in weight. So I want to know, like, where is Davis going to land on this scale? Like, is he really just this dominant in all over the place, or what? It's just crazy that he's just jumping so far over the place. Otherwise, I mean, honestly, Raider, I'm probably going to have to agree with you on this one. Jermel Charlo against Brian Castano, that's probably going to be a really good fight. I just watched Brian Castano, who I thought was going to lose to Teixeira, beat the crap out of Teixeira. So I think this is going to be a very, very good fight. Those are probably my two. I'm going to say my third one anyway. Probably I want to watch Rigondeaux against Casemiro. Rigondeaux hasn't fought in forever. I mean, what is he, like 80 years old, and he still has the body of a 40-year-old? So, like, yeah, let's see. I'd like to watch that. That's probably going to be a nonstop match.
Casemiro is a good fighter too. Also, I don't know if you noticed the undercard of that Davis Barrios fight, Erickson Lubin versus Jason Rosario. That's another good fight too, as a secondary fight for that pay-per-view. But Filthy Rich, which fights are you looking forward to on Showtime? By the way, I shouldn't have. I should have rephrased that question. Since James does not watch Showtime, we have to go over to your house to watch Showtime, Filthy Rich. So which fights can we come over and watch for your 3 fights?
I'm working that day, so
well, we got a key
For the next 5 months, I'm working that day.
we got keys. We can handle that.
shoot. Let's start with a fight I'm not looking forward to. I think Jermall Charlo and Juan Montiel. Jermall Charlo cannot get a good fight. I don't know what is up with him. When we ranked, I think we did pound for pound at the beginning of the year. I had Jermell ahead of Jermall because Jermall has not. I mean, he had Derevinchenko. God, I don't even know who else the guys fought. He cannot buy a good fight. I don't get it. Jermall is probably the most likely, like the most guaranteed win out of the 9 to 12 fights Showtime just released today.
10 fights.
That one probably has the biggest odds in favor of Jermall Charlo. I think that one's the easy one that I am not looking forward to. As far as the ones I actually am looking forward to, look, Davis moving up 2 weight classes to fight Mario Barrios. I think James said curious. I think it's intriguing. I think it's interesting. I think Davis can beat Barrios, but still moving up 2 weight classes. I think Kell Brook moved up 2 to fight Golovkin. And there was a guy who moved up, I believe he moved up 2 to fight Canelo. I think his Amir Khan. Anyways, back to the show. Davis and Barrios is the one that I want to see the most. I don't think it's the best fight. Benavidez and Uzcategui. Benavidez always puts on a good show. Uzcategui's been out of the ring for a while. He's getting older. I expect Benavidez to win, but I think Benavidez is it's not even the most talented. I think he's the funnest fighter to watch out of all these guys. So the one you guys can probably come over to if I'm not working that day is Benavidez Uzcategui.
Any interest in the Gamboa fight for either of you guys or not?
Yes.
I mean, Gamboa versus Colbert, as Steven would say. I think they're related. They don't look alike, but Gamboa, that's another good fight too. We haven't seen Gamboa fight in a while either. I don't think, have we?
Well, he just lost. He just lost to Davis.
Oh yeah. How do I forget that one? I was pretty drunk that night. Sorry about that. But I like watching Gamboa. I think that should be a fun fight to watch. I don't know much about Chris Colbert though. I mean, do you guys know about him, Rich or James? No.
Rich probably knows more than I do.
He's pretty blue chip. I've watched him on regular TV. He's an undercard guy. I guess he's gonna main event his fight, but Colbert's a good fighter. He's got speed, footwork. He's built well. He's in boxing shape. So yeah, Colbert's a good fighter.
He's in boxing shape. I hope he's main eventing against Gamboa. I hope he's in boxing shape.
A lot of boxers ain't in boxing shape. I don't know if you know what boxing shape is. I do.
That's true.
I mute people. That's how boxing shape I'm in.
I don't even know what
to me.
It doesn't even make sense. But okay. That's the news this week. Let's get into brews and reviews because there was a lot of good fights last week, including my guy Boots, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's ring the bell. Brews and review. Wow, I can talk. Brews and reviews is where we talk about fights that just happened. And there were 2 big fights this last weekend, including some awesome heavyweight undercards. But we'll start with my guy Boots. Ennis beat Lipinets. Nasty knockout. I called it, just saying. We all called it, actually. We got all 3 fights right this weekend, guys, by the way. If you hit that parlay, you're welcome. Filthy Rich, we'll start with you. What did you see in that Boots fight? And was this Boots' coming out party to kind of tell everybody, hey, we're going to take this division back and it's going to be a lot more interesting than when we did the reviews of it?
The undercard were probably better fights. Stanionis and Delorme was a good fight. Stanionis showed that he belongs at 147. And Cajas and Rodriguez put on a slugfest. So this entire card was good. As far as Ennis and Lipinets, I was expecting a little more out of Lipinets. I don't know if Lipinets belongs at 147. Maybe he needs to drop a division. I'm not sure. But as far as Boots Ennis went, I think he belongs here. And I'm interested to see what happens next for this guy.
Well, James, what will happen next with this guy with a lot of big welterweights, young welterweights going like Virgil Ortiz and uh, Boots, obviously, and uh, Connor Benn. These are all big young fighters that are coming up to replace the old guys, as they say, the old guys at the top of Crawford and Errol Spence. Do they have a chance to take this division over or what?
What? Who are we talking about right now? Lipinets?
Boots.
Are you talking about Boots?
Boots. My guy Boots.
Well, I thought I was talking about both.
Well, yeah. I mean, we could talk about Lipinets if you want, but we're talking about Boots first.
Oh, well, I mean, so what's next for Boots?
My question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the question. I got it. Let me talk. So yeah, I think there's a couple of big names that come to mind for me at 147 for Boots next. That'll probably be a big draw. Probably top of my list right now is Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman doesn't fought anybody. He is literally talking crap to every single person at 147. I don't know why he's not getting fights. Here you go. Boots fights Keith Thurman. This will probably be a precursor to if how Thurman would handle Crawford if they ever fought, which is never going to happen either. Otherwise, if you're still talking about 147, if Boots is trying to make a name for himself, Mikey Garcia is still hanging around at 147 for some reason. I don't know why that's happening. But he's one. Otherwise, I mean, you could fight Connor Benn. Be a bigger draw. Rashidi Ellis is another name at 147, but there's both. I think they're too low, as far as like their careers go. So they're probably not going to happen and clash yet. They're probably going to wait sooner. But I mean, those are probably the guys, at least Thurman and Garcia for Ennis, that I would see sooner rather than later.
What about Sean Porter?
It's
I mean, if you want to get into that top of the division talk, I mean, if you put
I'm not getting in that top of division talk. I didn't say Ennis was into the getting to the top of the division. I think you showed promise there. I'm telling you what was next. This is what I'm saying. Keith Thurman, Mikey Garcia. Those are probably my top two.
Right on. Rich, I'll toss it over to you on this part. Connor Benn, Virgil Ortiz, and Boots are all kind of saying they're going to take over that division, though. Is that the real future of this division? Is the future going to come sooner rather than later?
I think Connor Benn probably needs a couple more fights. Look, ranking these guys, I would put Connor Benn third because he doesn't have the resume yet. Virgil Ortiz, I would put second. I think he's already moved up one division, but he's been knocking people out. He has a lot of knockouts considering how many fights he's had. Virgil Ortiz definitely.
Yeah, he's knocked out every fight. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I don't have his record in front of me. And Boots Ennis, James nailed this one. He's not top of the division. I don't think he's ready for the top of the division yet. But someone like a Keith Thurman, mix it up with Keith Thurman. That'll show if Keith Thurman has anything left, and if Boots Ennis should be talked about as a real headliner, not just a Showtime Saturday night guy. But yeah, as a future sooner rather than later, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Well, I'll answer it then. Yeah, the answer is now. The future is now. I think Boots showed, and Virgil Ortiz showed, and Connor Benn actually showed that they're all ready to make names for themselves in that division. I have him ranked exactly like you do. I think Boots is top tier in that division, though. I really think he's going to be flying up the charts here. I think if either Spence or Crawford want to fight him, I don't think they will, but anyway, he should get there within a year or two. He should be ready. He's powerful. He goes both hands. I know you love that, Judge. He can go both stances, but I think Boots is the real future. Not just because he's my guy and I called him, but a big part of that is that reason as well. All right. The second fight, Joe Smith Jr. versus Vlasov. That was on DAZN, I believe, correct? Was that on DAZN?
Incorrect.
ESPN's Top Rank, son.
Oh, it was on Top Rank. Okay, it was on Top Rank. I'm sorry. You're a big DAZN guy. I know you didn't have Showtime, so I was watching the Showtime fight because I have Showtime. Joe Smith Jr. versus Vlasov. James, what did we miss watching the great one Boots instead over on Showtime?
Oh, Joe Smith Jr. versus Vlasov was a battle. This is a good fight. If you want to talk about heavyweight or light heavyweights, you normally just don't. I don't know. That's usually just three people. This Vlasov and Joe Smith came to throw. And this was real interesting because Vlasov had a really weird, I guess he's probably always had this, but a really weird approach and style. Hands down a lot. He never really stopped moving his head around. Like he was throwing from weird angles. It was throwing, to be honest, his style was throwing Joe Smith Jr. off big time. Big time. So he was missing. Joe Smith was throwing haymakers that was missing. He just couldn't get timing down. Like Vlasov did a fantastic job going back and forth on this, and even cut Joe Smith Jr. in the second round, which really, I think that probably, honestly, is what affected this fight the most, because I think Joe, if you watched it, this was a very close fight. I'm talking like every other round was going to the other individual. It was fantastic to watch, but I really think that took Smith a little bit out of the fight with that cut over his eye that he sustained, and then changed it a little bit because he wasn't throwing to the body as much as he should have been, and he definitely had openings. Like, I mean, it was, both fighters were landing good shots, both fighters were getting the best of each other. It ended in a majority win, or a split decision win.
Majority decision. Yep.
Majority decision, with the 113, 115, 113, 115, 112. Rich, real quick, do you know where Vlasov lost a point? Because I'm still trying to figure out. I thought I heard it wrong.
11th round, maybe. That was stupid though, because it wasn't ruled a knockdown.
That's what okay.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what happened.
So either way, that was off, and then one judge at 114. Honestly, if I go back and look at that fight, I call it a draw. If I really have to make a win or a winner for this, I'd probably almost go with Vlasov, to be honest. And I don't like that because I really like Joe Smith. But if we're talking about who was the better boxer, who was doing the game, I think it was either a draw or Vlasov at that point. So, like I said, I think that cut in the second round on his eye changed Joe Smith for the worse. If that didn't happen, he probably would have had a much better showing. But honestly, I think it was a draw. Let's see the rematch.
Twitter seems to agree with you. They seem to think that Vlasov won that fight and that scorecard was messed up. And that is a tough one to explain. I have not found anything either explaining that, where that point went. So I thought it was a typo when I read it, but I don't know.
They announced it that way too. So I just thought smudge. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Could you get a 10-8 round without a knockdown? I mean, I guess you could, but
you can't.
There wasn't any round
like that.
I didn't see any round like that.
There was no domination like that I saw. It was literally either this guy won the round or this guy won the round. There was no like, I mean, at least in my eyes, it was literally just back and forth. It was crazy. I don't know. I say it was a draw.
Well, Filthy Rich, first off, what do you think? And then second, what's next for these guys going forward? Both great fighters.
Let me tell you what I think. First of all, I didn't do a very good job covering Ennis and Lipinets. Look, there was nothing to cover there. Lipinets didn't show up. Ennis whooped them up. I'd be a fool to keep talking about that. This was the fight. Smith and Vlasov was the fight to watch. This fight was like even across the board. I watched that fight with no volume on, and I thought Vlasov won this easily, no questions. They'll rob him because he's Russian and he's on American soil. Lo and behold, that's what happened. Twitter seemed to agree that same way. So I decided to watch it with volume on like the next day or the following day. And that fight was a lot closer. Like James said, Smith was just throwing haymakers, just trying to connect. And Vlasov had this boxing technique. I can't explain it. His guard was down almost the entire fight. Both arms, you didn't know what side he was coming from. Vlasov put on one show, and I didn't think it was supposed to go that way. I thought Smith was going to have this one wrapped up so we can go on and fight Bivol or better Biev without any dispute on who won. Now, as far as, what's next for these guys, A rematch is not out of the question. I don't see it happening. I don't know. I don't think it would be worth Joe Smith's time. I think Vlasov could beat Joe Smith, so Vlasov probably wants that one. But Joe Smith, I think, is ready to move on. The two biggest names we just talked about a better Biev and Bivol. So those would be two I'd look for him to fight. But for some strange reason, I don't think that's going to happen. But Jean Pascal has a version of, I believe it's the WBO championship. So Joe Smith, if he can figure out a way to fight Jean Pascal, I mean, he knocked Bernard Hopkins out of the ring. Pascal it's probably time for him to hang it up. I think he's about 38 years old. Maybe he goes after Pascal, tries to end Pascal's career. It looks like Joe Smith has beaten just about everybody at this division, except for like the Bivol fight. But he's fought everyone. He's fought the Jesse Harts of this division. And it's time for him to either get a Bivol rematch or fight better Biev. I don't know which one. If he would have whooped up Vlasov, I would say go for better Biev. But because it was so close, I don't think he has a choice but to go after better Biev, because if he loses to Bivol again, he'll never see a better Biev fight. As far as Vlasov goes, what's next for him? Look, we just talked about Kovalev. Kovalev's from Russia. Vlasov's from Russia. He'll get a fair shake if they do fight overseas. That's a quick one I see can happen, or I can see happening. Jesse Hart is with Top Rank. I think they can make that fight happen. Both, I think Jesse Hart's coming off a loss to probably Joe Smith. That was probably his last fight. So Vlasov and Jesse Hart I think Vlasov could beat Hart, but it would make for a good fight and a good show. And just a third name to throw out there, Sullivan Barrera, I think, and Vlasov make a good fight. Sullivan Barrera's a bit long in the tooth there.
Well, next time we have Matt from Lindstrom, a.k.a. Joe Smith Jr. on the show, we'll ask him who he wants to fight. That's a look, he's recovering his cut. Apparently, the confusion with that point I'm finding out now is the one judge that scored it did not either went rogue or did not hear the official say it wasn't a knockdown over the 11th round. That's where it was. He scored the 11th at 10-8. So yeah. So apparently it wasn't officially a knockdown, but he still scored it at 10-8 anyway. So either he went rogue or he didn't hear them. That's what
he should be suspended.
Exactly.
Are you listening? Are you paying attention? If someone says it's not a knockdown and you go, it's a knockdown, you should be suspended.
You can't just say, well, I think it was a knockdown, so I'm going to go 10-8. That's not his call. More judging problems.
Not from this judge.
As I said, the only good judge is the judge Jimmy James. That's the only good judge we got. Got some extra time here. First, I want to just quickly touch on before that the two really good Efia Jagba and Big Baby Anderson both fought. Both kept knockout streaks alive, or Big Baby kept his knockout streak alive. I don't know if Efia Jagba was getting a knockout streak, but he won by knockout as well. Efia Jagba, known here in Minneapolis as the guy that made a guy walk out of the ring and didn't even fight him, which was became a legend around here, which is pretty cool.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. Both big up and coming heavyweights there. Very excited to see them tangle with the heavyweight division here and get our heavyweight division even more awesome than it already is. Any of you guys want to touch on any of those fights before we move on? Okay, good talk. All right, moving on to Brews and Tributes. Brews and Tributes, what we do the third week of every month is we talk about a boxer that we're giving a tribute to, and usually it has to be either retired or out of his career or passed away or anything like that. Last month we did Marvelous Marvin Hagler. This month we're doing Carl Frampton, who just retired. Carl Frampton, great fighter, longtime fighter from Ireland, right?
Yes.
Ireland. Ireland, great fighter. I want to know what you guys, your favorite memories of Carl Frampton. Maybe give me some your favorite fights and stuff like that. We'll start with Filthy Rich. Go ahead.
Well, look, we'll start off by who this guy is. 28-3, so with 16 knockouts, retired just after this Herring fight at 34 years old. Got his first title fight. I think it was 10-0 when he fought for the IBF title, beating Robbie Turley. Can't remember country of origin. I think it was a UK guy. Went on to fight a guy who I made famous on this show, Scott Quigg.
Scott Quigg.
You guys remember Scott Quigg?
Yeah, I thought it was Quigg, but it's yeah. I was gonna bring him up.
Beat Scott Quigg. I thought Scott Quigg was the man, and Carl Frampton proved that he was not. That Carl Frampton's a man. Went on to beat Kiko Martinez twice, over the hill, Kiko Martinez, but nonetheless, a tough move forward fighter. Knocked him down. That was it. Santa Cruz, the Leo Santa Cruz, fought him twice. I believe beat him the first time.
Yep.
And then Leo won the second fight, but
both by majority decisions. Yep.
Am I talking or is Raider Live talking? What's
my
going
show?
on here?
Sorry. Go ahead.
So beat Santa Cruz once, lost to Santa Cruz later. Both were really good fights. Like, I'm disappointed that there was not a trilogy. That would have been an exciting trilogy. We never got it. It's too bad, but fighters have to move on with their careers. Beat Nonito Donaire later on, and then got like probably his second loss, maybe his first loss to Josh Warrington. And I think that's when we could tell the career was coming to an end. When Carl Frampton, I think, had a couple more fights before, a couple nobody fights, and then lost to Jamel Herring and wrapped up his career. I will say, out of all that garbage nonsense I just spewed, his ring entrance was my favorite. He came out to a song called "Freed from Desire" by Gala. At least for the Santa Cruz fight. I think he changed his ring entrance later on towards the end of his career, but the way the fans reacted to him, he was like loved in Belfast, Ireland. I think Conor McGregor is the only more popular Irish guy to this day, but that is my Carl Frampton career in review. I will drink to you, Mr. Frampton.
Great amateur career as well at 114 fights, I believe, at amateur. I had it written down here. He won 114, lost 11 fights out of Ireland, obviously, and only been knocked out once, and that was his last fight. He's ever been knocked down. Good old brick fist in 3 divisions: super bantamweight, featherweight, super featherweight. I know Rich touched on a lot there, Judge, and you're usually the stat guy. What you got?
Well, I don't know. You just touched on the rest of it there for me real quick.
Hey,
I guess
right.
I don't get much to say on this one. Yeah, I mean, Frampton wanted to be the best or the greatest Irish boxer of all time. I don't know where he stacks up on that one. That would be probably debatable for sure. His probably promoter might be up there. Barry McGuigan. I don't know how to say it. The Irish names are real tough for me, man. But I mean, obviously, just fell short. It was the first, or I think he might be the only Irish boxer that's 2-division weight champion. He was trying to become the third when he fought Herring and fell up a little bit short, which is a bummer. You know, the Jackal was definitely someone who did love to scrap, 100%. Didn't back down. Those, like you already touched on, Rich, the first Santa Cruz fight, even the second Santa Cruz fight, I thought he was a little worse than the second Santa Cruz fight, but the first one was just because you know what Santa Cruz is going to do. He does the same thing every time. He just comes at you, and Frampton did the exact same thing back to him, and I thought that was a really good fight as far as that goes for it. But obviously a big time supporter. Local charities and things like that as well. So he was a real community driven guy. Always wanted to have his fights in Belfast, Ireland. I mean, that's all he wanted. That's all he tried to do. Any fight that he had is like, I want to make it in Belfast. Let's have it for Belfast for the fans of Ireland. So I think he's yeah, I mean, maybe not the biggest name ever in boxing by any means, but definitely a fun boxer to watch. Obviously real great outside the ring, and you know, hopefully best of luck to him. 34 years old, so hopefully he still has a long life ahead of him and does good things for the country of Ireland.
If you want to buy a house, hit him up, because apparently he's
He's not a real estate agent.
That was some of the joke we had
name, man. Don't worry about that.
Never mind. He was
Thanks,
named Fighter of the
Google.
Year by the Ring Magazine and ESPN, Boxers Writers Association of America in 2016. 5'5". So basically, he was an Irish fighter. He fought like an Irish fighter, and yeah, Any final things you got him on there? I know he beat your guy Scott Quigg there, Rich. I was going to bring that up, but you already jumped in there on that one. You already pulled that one for me. That was on my notes. That was at the top of my notes that I have here.
that first Santa Cruz fight, I believe that was his first fight moving up in weight. So I mean, he fought a bigger guy and beat the guy on his first try. And Santa Cruz at that time, I don't know if we have forgotten what Santa Cruz is like, but I've had Santa Cruz on my top 10 pound for pound list, back in 2019, 2018. So Santa Cruz was no joke back then.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure he was undefeated when they fought. At that point, I think he was 32-0.
He had one draw on there at the end. I think it was 31-0-1. That's his record. Still undefeated.
Yeah, Santa Cruz had a draw in his second fight ever. So don't count that. Just wash that off. I could throw that in the garbage.
I'll drink to you.
Well, in his post-fight interview, if you guys missed it too, when he announced his retirement, he said, "I said before the fight that I'd retire if I lost. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I've been away too long. I miss them growing up, my own kids. I want to give my life to my family. Boxing's been good to me. It's also been bad to me in recent years. I've enjoyed the best years of my career, and now I just want to go home to my beautiful wife and kids." Hey, long life. Hope for health to you. Well, drink to Carl Frampton. Cheers. Nobody? Okay. Yeah. I was holding it up.
Sure. We don't script this show, by the way.
We
so
don't,
no idea
obviously.
What's going
Obviously,
on.
'cause,
He's just rogue up here. Since it's a Raider Live show, nobody knows what's going on. He just does whatever he wants.
Yeah. And I also hold all the mute buttons, unlimited mutes every week. I can.
I got the logins. Don't tempt me.
Ooh, that might be a good fight. All right, Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
Look, I want to say hi to Sig. Apparently he had to listen to Raider Live at a bar one day, and Raider Live talked him into the show. And thanks for subscribing, Sig. Raider Live, you buy him a beer, and I will buy you a beer for buying him a beer. Happy birthday to friend of the show, Joe Sweat. We miss you, dude. I hope you're watching. All that other good stuff. Come to the great state of Minnesota for vacation sometime. And baseball fans, happy Jackie Robinson Day.
Right on. Judge Jimmy James, if they're listening to us, where can they hear us? And where can they see us? And if they're watching us, where can they hear us on the go?
Sweat's never coming back to the United States of America. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. You're going to have to go to Mexico to find him. But if
we'll take the show on the road.
If you're watching us and want to listen to us, check us out on any major podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you're listening to us and want to watch us, go to YouTube /Brews and Boxing, and you can see that whole Showtime list. And then you can come over and hang out at Filthy Rich's house while we all watch some boxing in the next 5 months. We got the keys. Let's do this.
Yep. Bring your Tecate with you. These guys will drink it. Just
nope. I got plenty of Tecate. You can have mine.
I brought James 9 cans and Filthy Rich 3, and James threw them all away. And Filthy Rich, he says he's still got 2 cans left of that one. Did you even finish? Did you guys at least finish your can last week? I never checked. But
yes, I finished the can. I finished the can.
At least I drank the whole 6-pack when I lost it. It was awful. But once you get past the first 2, it's not so bad. All right. I also like to do a little melancholy happy trails to my uncle Lee and my cousin Jeff. Both passed away very recently in the last 2 weeks here. Both died way too young. Too much of that going around in the world nowadays. I hope everyone can stay healthy. Make sure you get checks up with your doctor. Stay healthy. Still social distance. We're almost done with that. Get vaccinated. Everyone in Minneapolis, we're with you. We do our show in Minneapolis. We're with you. We love you. Everyone stay safe out there as well. And that's all I got. So for Judge Jimmy James and Filthy Rich, I'm Raider Live. Thank you all very much, and we will see you guys next week.